Senior Kyle Evans, one of 18 seniors who played his final game for the Colorado Buffaloes in a regular season finale. The Buffs fall 33-21 and end the season on a 7-game losing streak. How everybody? Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. We're here in Berkeley, California, along with Coach Gary Barnett. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Well, feast or famine, I'm not even sure does justice to what we saw this season, but I'll say this in this final game, after getting down early with 5 turnovers, 2 pick sixes, this team showed some character fighting back in this ballgame.
Well, especially defensively, Mark. The defense gave them a chance to be in this game, and really they could have still been in that football game after everything that happened to them because of the way the defense played. The only thing that we couldn't come up with was a turnover.
Right, getting a turnover.
They didn't turn the ball over. They have been turning the ball over. We didn't get one. We had a chance for one, which would have made a difference in the game perhaps. And when you think about the penalty that we got there at the end and the dropped interception opportunity, despite all the things that happened to us, we could have possibly won that football game.
Boy, in this ball game, though, the first 2 possessions for the Buffaloes, pick sixes going the other way. Then there were 2 fumbled punts for the Buffs in this ball game. One ends up with a touchdown, although another one hit a field goal. That defense, DJ Elliott and that staff really put some nice game plans together down the stretch. That defense played hard.
Yeah, I think the last 3 games were good plans. And, you know, we might not have had the personnel to be able to execute them quite as well as we wanted to, but tonight we did, and at least for the most part, I thought.
They held this Cal team under 300 yards of offense and really kept the Buffaloes in the ball game. Now comes the hard part, of course. There's going to be a new head coach at some point in time for this team, but a new team starts tomorrow as the Buffs start getting ready for 2019. One guy who walked off the field for the final time, another who's going to be a senior next year. We've caught up with Rick Gamboa and quarterback Steven Montez after a 33-21 loss at Berkeley.
It's tough knowing this will be the last time I'll be putting on black and gold, wearing these Colorado colors, playing with my teammates. So it's just tough going through right now, and wish we could have won a little better. Wish we could have went out and win the bowl game, but it's what happens. And telling each other like we love each other, and it's been long 4 years. I'm always gonna love them. They're always gonna be my brothers. Just knowing that they fought for me just as much as I fought for them every single play out there. I always remember that. Unfortunately, offense started off a little rocky start, but we just came out just saying we got to do our job. We got to get the turnovers. If they could do it, if their defense could get 2 pick sixes, why can't we? And you know, we just kept fighting every single play today.
The start was just god-awful on my part. Just came out and just wasn't seen and just forcing balls and just, I mean, basically just throwing picks is what it was. I mean, I feel like we kind of turned it around a little bit in the second half, started making better decisions, but it was just too late. This definitely doesn't feel good, especially with all these seniors around this locker room and seeing their faces and just not sending them out the right way. It's not what we wanted to do, but I mean, I just told them that I love them and that I'm going to miss them for sure. But if they ever need anything, I'll be there in a moment's notice. Believe that.
Now, the quarterback will be back. The linebacker, Rick Gamboa, will not. He ends as the number 6 career total tackle leader for Colorado. Rick Gamboa had an awful nice career. All right, now this team starts moving forward. Not only is it a new team, you talked to Steven about that on the radio afterward, but they got new leadership coming in at some point here in the very near future.
Well, they're going to have new leadership in the way of coaches. You know, somebody else that it's not just the seniors that have responsibility for leadership. It's the people who lead. Have to start leading tomorrow, and that's Sunday. So they only have 365 days to get this done, and they can't waste a single day, and that's the way they have to approach it. So it's going to have a different personality. There's lots of reasons I think, to be hopeful for next year. They have to fix some things. They have to, you know, frankly, and we've been candid about all year, they've got to get better in the offensive line. They've got to get better in the secondary, and that's going to be the new coach's responsibility.
Well, in fact, when the new coach does come in, this isn't a really rebuilding circumstance for him. He doesn't have to rebuild the talent. They've got phenomenal facilities. It's a job, don't you think, as a coach, where you can come in and kind of hit the ground running? Yeah,
you really can. And, you know, you give Mike McIntyre credit for he walked into a deep hole, and he filled in most of that hole on his way out. And so the next guy's going to be able to stand in a hole and look out and see what's out there and have a chance. And so he's got players. But I mean, they're not perfect. They need some work. Running back situation's got to be figured out. So recruiting's really critical. But there's going to be something to work with, and the new guy's going to be he's going to be fortunate to be here.
You know, there's plenty of skilled guys in this team, but you talk about finding an offensive line. That's not something you change overnight.
No, it's not, and that's the hardest part because you can't recruit that in 1 year.
Yeah.
You can recruit receivers and DBs, but you can't recruit linemen very easily. So you either got to really develop the ones you've got and recruit, but you got to get better there, or you know, it's going to be a struggle.
Right, without question. Buffaloes, though, wrap up the season 33-21 as they fall in a hard-fought battle here in Berkeley to the Cal Golden Bears, who have been awful impressive this season. The year comes to an end at 5-7. We'll take a time out here in the Stampede. He was at the sideline for us. Mark McIntosh is going to join us next. There's a touchdown by Juwan Winfrey, one of the 18 seniors who walked off the college field for the final time as the Buff season comes to an end with a 5-11 record as they lose 33-21 here at Cal to the Golden Bears. Mark McIntosh, he's a Buff, was on Channel 4 for many years, hosted the coaches show for many years. It was great having him on the sideline for this one. What was your thoughts from this contest?
Well, one, I just want to thank you guys for inviting me to be here. And
you can come
two,
back again.
I appreciate that. I'd love to. You know, some of my best memories as a sportscaster come from covering this football team. And I tell you, we talked about it beforehand, that what would this team be like emotionally? And then we come out, those two quick 6 picks, and then they're down 14-0. But very impressive with the way they fought back. And going into the fourth quarter, I think this team was very confident that defensively they could stop Cal, and if the offense could just generate something, they'd come back and win this. Obviously, they fell short, but I think, as Gary was mentioning in the earlier segment, that this program is in good shape for the next coach to come in. And I had a brief conversation with Rick George. He said he's looking for somebody young, and he's looking for somebody that's a disciplinarian. Who exactly that is, he would not reveal, but we shall see. But it was a real thrill to be here.
Both Mark and I tried to get Rick to slip up at some point in the last couple of days. Didn't happen. You know, the new coach, when he comes in here, you've got a quarterback who'll be a third-year starting quarterback. You have got loads of receivers that are very talented. That's a pretty good place to start.
It is. But if you don't have an offensive line in front of you, it's very difficult. And so they got some young offensive linemen, and hopefully they can mature, but it takes time to develop offensive linemen. And so that's a real key for them moving forward.
One of those guys they have coming back, of course, is Laviska Shenault, who went over 1,000 yards receiving in this ballgame. Trevon McMillan, by the way, the transfer from Virginia Tech, went over 1,000 yards rushing. First time the Buffaloes have ever, now think about this for a second, ever had a 1,000-yard receiver and 1,000-yard rusher in the same season. One of the guys who'll be coming back, he's a youngster, quarterback Blake Stenstrom. We caught up with him here in Berkeley.
I'm Blake Stenstrom. I'm a freshman here at the University of Colorado, and I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. I moved here about 5 years ago to Colorado, and I just heard great stuff about CU's engineering program. I wanted to challenge myself in school for sure, and so the combination of that and the football program really drew me to CU. For my entire life, I've always wanted to do something with innovation, and engineering seems like a good way to approach that. I think there's some overlap between STEM/engineering and football. Definitely in quarterbacking, there's a lot of analytics and processing going on. I think the stuff that I do in school helps me prepare for that in a way that trains my brain in a similar way. Learning engineering and quarterbacking complement each other a lot, actually. Coach Roper always says, it's a thinking man's game, and get to be able to process fast. I mean, quarterbacking is also a lot of figuring out problems, and the defense is kind of like a problem. I think engineering is a really broad field, and the STEM program at the University of Colorado is going to prepare me to do whatever I want later in life in that aspect. My mentality coming into college is I want to make the most of my time. I didn't really want to make it easy, to be honest, and so balancing it sometimes was tough, but it's definitely worth it in the end. The combination of the great engineering school and the opportunities that might bring in the future, along with the football aspect, was just a perfect fit for me, so that's why I'm here.
Well, the Buffaloes moving forward now. This 5-7 season comes to an end, 33-21. This guy covered the Buffs closely during a pretty good period. He got there in 1988.
Yeah,
and
I like to always kid McCartney when I showed up. You started getting good.
This is the reason they won right here. Who knew? Well, maybe not that you're back in the broadcast. Maybe that helps a little bit. But if you want to emulate something, that was a great period to emulate.
Oh, it really was. And, when you look at, you could tell in '88, they lost 4 games that year and then lost a bowl game. But, they should have beaten Nebraska. They should have beaten Oklahoma. You could tell they had the young talent. In some ways, this club has got a lot of young talent. And, hopefully it will develop the way that the talent developed for McCartney in those great years. But, it was unbelievable, that '89 season, the one heartbeat season, and so many other seasons. The next year, the 5 down, CJ, we always like to joke about that. I'm a Missouri grad, and McCartney's a Missouri grad. Barnett's a Missouri grad. We all still get grief about that 5th down. But those were wonderful years, and there's no reason that CU can't return to those kind of years, especially Rick George has done a fantastic job in building the support in terms of the facilities and everything else, and you just hope that it'll be an attractive job for a young up-and-coming coach, and the Buffs can turn this thing around.
We had a couple of clips of you back in the day. By the way, you're nearly as gray back then. You know,
had a lot more hair.
Yeah, you think back in about 45 seconds. What was your favorite memory from that time period?
Gosh, you know, the one heartbeat season in '89 was unbelievable. The miracle at Michigan, you know, everybody thought that game was lost. That was incredible. There's so many, but I think definitely the '89 season, the one heartbeat, and the way that team rallied around the death of Salinesi, and that'll be something I'll never forget.
I just said, speaking with Lou Holtzer a couple of weeks ago, the first thing he said to me was, it wasn't a clip, by the way.
Yeah.
You were there. It was a clip.
It was a clip. And I love telling Rocket, hey, guys, there's a flag down there.
Good stuff.
They didn't know.
Mark McIntosh, he joined us in the sidelines for the radio broadcast as the Buff season comes to an end at 5-7 as they fall 33-21 to the Cal Golden Bears. We'll take a time out here in the Stampede. Up next, men's basketball.
And his health is great. And you talk to the Colorado people, and so is his jumper from the outside as Evan Battey knocks in his first three of his Colorado career.
Remember,
Battey.
hit that.
Three.
A star is born.
Shot blocked as Olin Carter went down the lane.
Got numbers.
The lob to Bay in the alley-oop. Tyler Bay can do that, folks.
Seeing an excellent college point guard in McKinley Wright.
There's some highlights from the Buffs. Lost last week in San Diego. They had a victory later in the week. Hi, everybody, back in the Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Lucas Siewert had a pretty good week this week. Buffs go on the road, though, and that's been a challenge here in the last, year and a half or so. Kind of take us back to that game in San Diego. I think it boils down to basically don't give up so many offensive rebounds and hit a couple of foul shots, right?
Yeah, I mean, San Diego, we knew it was going to be a battle. You know, last year they came in here and, you know, they beat us here, so we wanted to do the same thing, and we knew it was going to come down to toughness, and you know, at that game it was unfortunate for us.
Here you guys are 4 games into the season at this point in time, sitting at 3-1 also after a victory over Air Force, which we'll talk about in a moment. You're kind of getting a sense of this team and what it is capable of on the court. And I know you went through camp, but that's not playing in a game. Now that you played a handful of games.
Yeah, I mean, our team is like really well balanced, so you know, we have a lot of weapons we can use during the games. So I think that's going to help our team a lot throughout the season. Not depending on only one guy, you know, everybody contributors.
You know, I think that's probably one of the keys to this team this season you're talking about.
Yeah.
But in the past, George King was going to be a guy you guys were going to lead on, or you know, go back. There's plenty of those guys. And Alec Burks years ago, or you know, and most recently Derek White, of course, is a guy that we always had to rely upon. Yeah. This team, there's probably 7 or 8 guys who can go out and get you 15 or 20.
Yeah, and that's the big key for our team this year. You know, we got to recognize that. We have a saying on our team that our go-to guy is the open man, and we try to play. Through that, you know, to help us.
How's your transition coming in terms of being more physical, playing inside, as they've asked you to do that the last couple of years?
Yeah, they did, and I knew that was gonna come one day. You know, that's something I've been working on a lot, and it's been helping my game a lot and the team as well. So I'm gonna keep doing that.
Hey, getting in there, banging a little bit with Evan Battey, as big as he is, that's got to help you out, right?
Yeah.
That guy's an immovable force, isn't he?
Going against him every day definitely helps us during the games.
Speaking of Evan Battey, of course, it's been an unbelievable journey that he's had over the past couple of years. You've heard a little bit about it. Let's go a bit more in depth now with the redshirt freshman for the Buffaloes.
I'm Evan Battey. I'm a redshirt freshman. I'm power forward. My senior year of high school, I was ruled ineligible to play because I repeated my freshman year of high school. So already being ineligible to play, that December, I had a stroke. I had a stroke and was followed by 2 seizures.
When I found out what happened to Evan, I was shocked. I was praying for that kid. Yeah. The kid knows I love him.
I couldn't feel my whole body from my head to my toe. So that was kind of like a weird feeling because I I was pretty much paralyzed.
All I know is it's great to have him back. He's a great part of this team. He's a big emotional leader for our team, and he's a guy that we're counting on this year.
To fight through it, I mean, damn. If that doesn't give you some goosebumps and show you how hard this kid loves the game of basketball, then you don't know effing.
The first game for him and for us is going to be a big moment, you know, a moment that we've been thinking about since he went through what he went through.
It's time now for Evan to enjoy being a college student and being a college basketball player, and he's looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to it.
I don't know how I'm going to feel on game night on Tuesday night because, I mean, it's been such a long time coming, so I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna control my emotions. If I cry, I cry. I mean, I'm getting emotional now because it's just a dream come true, actually. Because I mean, I never thought I would see like the end of this tunnel. I mean, not playing for almost 3 years, it's just a hard time to overcome. So I'm ready.
A freshman from Newport, California, number 21, Evan Battey.
Defensively, he forces the travel. Battey to hit 100.
Certainly an overcoming story by Evan Battey. Buffaloes, after the loss at San Diego, come back with a 37-point win on the road at Air Force last week. This guy had 17 points, 8 rebounds, didn't miss a bucket. We got to get you more shots.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, you know, I try to get as much shots as I can, but we also try to make plays for each other. You know, I'm gonna try to get a great shot every time, and that's helping my percentage as well. 3
3-pointers in that ball game. You're shooting a fantastic percentage right now from outside the arc. The ball looks really good coming off your hand. Is it feeling good?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working on my shot a lot every day with Coach English. And, you know, when I go out in the game, I'm not doing anything different that I didn't do in practice. So I just try to shoot with confidence. And, yeah.
Have you always been a good shooter?
Yeah, I mean, since I've been playing basketball, I've always worked on my shot since I was, you know, 11, 12 years old. And that's something that made me different from other big men, you know, from where I come from.
Yeah.
So that helped me get here, and it's helping me on this level as well.
How about just that transition? I know we've talked about it a time before, but I'd imagine now by your 3rd season with the Buffaloes, there's just a comfort level of being here. You know everything about Boulder, the culture, you know, what you need to do within this program. There's got to be a comfort that comes with that.
Yeah, I mean, right now is my junior year, so I'm trying to lead this team as much as I can. You know, next year is my last year, so I'm trying to, you know, have no regrets coming out of here.
When you play with a guy like McKinley Wright as well as he sees the court for a guy that likes to spot and shoot like you do, that's got to be a great feeling out there, knowing that at any point in time, if you get yourself in a good spot, he's going to find you.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that me and McKinley have a good connection on the court. You know, we always joke around that. I always get him assists. So, yeah, that's something, you know, I like playing with him because he knows how to deliver the ball well.
All right, big week for the Buffaloes. He's got a midweek game, and then, of course, Colorado State coming here to the CU Event Center on Saturday. Big game out of this guy, Lucas Siewert, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 37-point win over Air Force. Coming up next, Colorado women's basketball. Quinessa Caylao-Do joining us. They're unblemished on the season.
But we are ready to determine our new champion. How about South Carolina out of the SEC? A surprise year there for the Gamecocks. They will be in Minnesota to face Colorado out of the Pac-12.
Well, great news for the CU volleyball team there. We weren't sure down the stretch whether the Buffs were going to get in the NCAA tournament, but for the 2nd time in 2 years, they're in the big dance. And Friday in Minneapolis playing South Carolina. I know there's a lot of directions there, but they're taking the Gamecocks. Let's put it that way. Voice of the Buffs, Quinessa Caylao-Do joining us from CU women's basketball team. And you live with a couple of volleyballers.
Yes, I live with
You were
Christine
happy
and
with the
Lily.
team then, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited for them, yeah.
Yeah, well, fantastic. Did you ever play volleyball yourself?
No, we do it sometimes, like after practice or for fun. I'm really bad. I might be a good server, though. I'm a good server.
All right, but she is a good basketball player, a guard for the Colorado Buffaloes, and sitting at 5-0. You can't do any better than that.
Yeah, I know. We're undefeated. It's awesome.
Good stuff.
Great way to start.
What's been good about the Buffs so far through 5 games?
I think just us playing together. playing as a team, really getting our offense going, and our defense, I think, is really starting to come together, which is really pushing our offense to go.
You know, most years the Buffs had a holiday tournament over the Thanksgiving holiday right here. This year they were in Reno for the Nugget Classic, come back 2-0. Nice win in the opening game over Nevada, over the Wolfpack. Tell us about that game.
It was good. It was our first time on the road. First game away from just not having our CU Buff fans. So it was a lot different. I think we had a little bit of adversity, but I think just coming together and getting the win was really good for us.
You know, you go on the road like that, there was not a huge crowd there when those tournaments typically don't have them. So you go and there's no atmosphere, there's no feedback, right? It's kind of an empty feel.
Yeah,
it's a unique way to play. Yeah.
It's really just all of us just cheering each other on, and that's basically how we got our energy to go.
This team is playing pretty well defensively right now. Now, my guess is J.R. Payne, knowing these coaches, they always want you to play better defensively.
Yeah.
How would you assess the Buffs' defense?
I love playing defense. I feel like, especially for me, starting, I just usually help the team out with defense and help the energy go.
All right. Well, they got that victory over the Wolfpack in the opening game. We'll talk about the next contest against Utah State. Do you know who you will see when you come here to the CU Event Center for men's and women's basketball? You're going to see the Bananas. I know it doesn't make sense. We're the Buffaloes, but we caught up with this great student fan group.
We are Buffs Going Bananas. We just love the Buffs. We come as Bananas to pretty much every single game, and really we just cheer on the Buffs. We go absolutely crazy. Buffs Going Bananas. It started with me and my roommate freshman year. We went to the Mile High Showdown. We painted our chests, got front row, got lots of media coverage. We decided that other people had painted their chests before, and so we wanted to do something unique. The Bananas, they're yellow and black, pretty similar to the Buffs colors. So we were like, you know, it would be pretty epic if there's just a huge section of bananas. Right now we have 80 active members, and we're growing every single day. It started from just kind of a joke, and now it's an official student organization. We can receive funding from the university to travel to away games. We're moving on up. It's really official. It's really exciting. It's an absolute blast to come out to these football games. We get tons of time on the Jumbotron. You get to hang out with your best friends. You get an excuse to be crazy for 3 or 4 hours a week. Tons of fun. Always a blast being a Banana.
That's the kind of spirit you bring to a ball game right there. The Bananas. And who knew that was an actual club here at CU?
Yeah, no, I had no idea, but it's great to have them.
Okay, if you could dress up as something in a costume and come cheer on any Buffs program, what would you dress up as?
I might as well join the Banana Club.
Why wouldn't you? It's apparently right now the hot thing to do on campus. Hey, Buffs getting back to what they just did. They're sitting 5-0 in the season, unblemished, having a great start to the campaign. Last week they won the Nugget Classic. By the way, Kennedy Leonard named the MVP in that second game. Buffs came out and beat the Aggies of Utah State. Tell us about that game.
It was a really good game. I think towards the end, I think it was third or fourth quarter, it got really close. So we really hit adversity, and of course not having our fans, so it was just really all of us together that had to get us going, get our offense going, and I think that game right there showed us that we could be really good this year.
The Buffaloes, as I mentioned, 5-0. How about you being an upperclassman now? Being a junior, there's responsibility comes along with that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, especially for the freshmen, and just setting the tone, especially for defense. And then just during practice and stuff, just getting everyone going.
How have you become a better player in your 3 years here at CU?
I would probably say leadership, just being able to use my vocal voice for everyone. And I think that's really helped me get through my 3 years so far.
All right, they say there's different ways of leading. One is setting an example,
yeah.
and one is yelling at people. So you're saying you yell at a lot of people then?
There's a balance.
You're an encourager.
Yeah, somewhat.
Buffs, by the way, go on the road to Miami this weekend to take on the Hurricanes. Long road trip, another great opportunity. Now here you go into a place where you're going to get into a really hostile crowd down there in Miami.
Yeah, I think it will be a lot different because they played us here. We had a good game, so I'm sure, and we won.
Yeah.
So I think going to Miami, I think they'll really be out for us, and I think it'll be a really great game and for us to experience.
All right, sounds good. Unblemished right now, 5-0. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Quinessa Caylao-Do joining us here on the Buffalo Stampede. That'll wrap up the show this week. Join us next week. We're getting into heavy basketball season, and we'll be covering it right here.